What's up? Holla at your boy. It's your boy 𝐿𝐴𝐾. Yeah, me in the building. Topic of conversation. I wanna expound on having confidence in oneself without getting caught up into situations of chaos and the exaggeration of one's projection of aggressiveness when you're dealing with certain situations, and why it's important to find the affiliation of oneself before you find the affiliation of a group of people who you rely on to boost your confidence so that you can be projected in a certain type of position of power and popularity. I sit down and I always think about the different types of people that I've met throughout my life and the different types of group of people, and why I don't judge them based off of their philosophies and their beliefs. Or I've learned not to judge them, because when you're finding out different things at different levels of your understanding, you're only going to make decisions and perceptions and judgments, and your analytics is only going to go based off of what you've experienced, what you know, and what you learned in the concept of right and wrong, and what is acceptable, what's not acceptable, what can elevate you to a certain level. And I've learned that you don't have to be overly aggressive when it comes to being competitive, in the sense that you have to gauge yourself. And when you gauge yourself, you're gauging yourself with the knowledge and experience that you have based off of the practice of one's skills and the experience of what you're getting yourself into, right? So a lot of times people tend to be comfortable in the affiliation of a popular group, and it gives them this sense of confidence and security, and they may look down and frown upon someone who stands alone and who is sure of themselves, right? So you always have to be prepared to be put in situations that are challenging and that test your ability to make critical decisions in critical situations, to see if that whatever training you've been putting in, how do you apply it, and did it work, and were you prepped for the situation? And also, do you look at the situation as a loss? Do you look at it as a win? Do you look at the whole situation as just a product of growth to get you prepared for the more quality situation that may take you to the next level based off the opportunity that's presented? So I'm trying to figure out, like, why people, I don't have to figure it out anymore. I see why people project themselves in a certain type of way so that they can present themselves as a threat to the opposition in certain situations, whether it's business, sports, debates, politics. They have to present themselves in that way so that they can be like paralyzing to the opposition. But it doesn't work because you have to gain experience, and you learn that you don't have to outsmart no one. You don't have to outwit anyone in a one-dimensional way. If you got a little bit of wittiness, a little bit of smarts, a little bit of street smarts, a little bit of book smarts, a little bit of experience, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of wisdom, you can channel all of that into one whole entree of an efficient platter, which is like a buffet style, because you have all these different varieties of experience, personalities that you've endured, embraced, and you've witnessed and experienced that made you who you are to be tapped into certain situations. So you go out, you see people, and you're in a competitive situation, and someone is saying like, yo, I could do this, I could do that, I'm gonna bust your ass, or I'm smarter than you, and all that. And then you just sit there and you're wondering, like, there's gonna be a time where you gotta prove that. And it's gonna look crazy when you telling me that you this person and you can't prove it. Or I watch to see the intentions of, if you were to beat me, or if you were to outsmart me in a certain type of situation, how would you react and carry yourself in that situation based off of your winnings, your earnings, your victory, right? And what miles are you willing to go for that victory, in the sense of you keeping your integrity? And even if it's not integrity in my eyes, do you stand on your victory, how you got the victory, without feeling any type of way? And I like to witness and see these different type of things so that I can know how to gauge a person and know how to experience their maneuvers so that I can gain a different perspective of how to play the game or to approach the situation. So when someone is telling me that they're great or they're the best, or I can't do what they do, or I can't do what I do, I sit there and I just look at them and I say, really, that's how you think? Like, you think that I can't do that? You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes it's an act of tough love and pushing your buttons just to get you to tap into a different element of yourself to see where you're going with it. But I love to be the guy on the opposite end of the popularity, or the opposite end of, just being the underdog, the loner sometimes, because I want the crowd to be in shock of when I do defeat Goliath, or what they consider to be Goliath, because it's just a perception thing. Because you could be in a crowd and the crowd is like, yo, I know this person and I grew up with this person and I've been around this person, and they're Goliath, right? Or they're not, they're Goliath, and then you're David based upon how the story was told of you being the underdog. Or it may be vice versa. You may be the perception of, okay, this guy is David, but I'm coming, but he don't know that I'm Goliath. You feel me? But I'm just, being myself. And I don't have to tell you that I can dominate a situation and do it in a way where I'm not tearing things up. I could do it in a way where I'm dominating, but it's in a state of elegance. It's in a state of being smooth or being crafty, or by way of motion, by way of delivery, by way of the choice of decisions that I make, by way of how I carry myself, by way of fashion, by way of looking out the norm of what people perceive me as and what they think I should look like, or how I should approach the situation without receiving the hurrahs from the crowd. Can you still be conditioned to be in that position of power and still keep your composure to dictate the way things are being played out? And can you live with someone going the extra mile to win at something in a way that you don't agree with, and still come back and win gracefully without getting into confrontation, and still being able to learn, gain from it, and use it as a tool for the next situation that presents itself? It turns into a quiet situation when you're talking to someone and they're like full of this energy and this confidence, and they like, yo, da, I'm this, that, and the third. And then you put them on display for what they can do, and their crowd is there, their family is there, they're everyone's rooting for them. And then you like, okay, I'm gonna let you do what you do. How you see how you go about things, and now like your ego has taken over, which is good, so ego is good sometimes, and your ego takes over the situation. But then you meet your match, and you meet someone who could get to the finish line without using your approach. Can you identify with that approach and still be effective and dominate? Can you pay attention to the gauges of the levels and tiers that you have to go to get to the next situation and still dominate the game and still be a lion while all you're being observant, and the perception is that, yo, he's quiet, or he don't know what he's doing, or let me distract him. And when you defy all these odds, it becomes eerie silence. It becomes fulfilling to know that the facade of someone's personality really doesn't exist based off of how the crowd projects them. Because if the crowd is rooting for you and you're the hometown hero and you got this backing of support to be in this situation and dominate, and someone comes and gets the best of you in that situation, and you've been rah-rah talking all of this stuff, and you put on your show and you do what you do, and you show your intelligence, you start to change the narrative of how things are supposed to go. And now that person has to change their approach just to redefine themselves in a way that forces them to do more work. And also challenging yourself, right? Because there's a person who says, okay, I'm at this threshold, and then they're like, that's it, I'm him, that's it. And then there's another person that's like, there is no threshold. It just keeps going, just keep going. So, okay, today, okay, I see what I got to do. I'm gonna work on this, I'm gonna work on that. Boom, all right, boom. Gotta work on this, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say, right? Then you got someone that's like, nah, I got it. There's a difference in like the mechanism and the mechanics of how you channel and how you connect the different levels and gauges of expectations. And I'm just saying that to say this, like the way I explained it was like to be intricate and to be kind of like complex in a way. But the simple version of it is this. The affiliation of self has to be first, right? Once you be around different types of groups and affiliate yourself with them, just so you can nitpick, take, experience, witness, and go through different phases, so that once you realize oneself is the best affiliation, because it's still a projection of the groups and tiers and different communities that you've been a part of, just so you could gain a perspective to see how to move in different types of situations in order to make yourself a whole human being and not be threatened by circumstances that people perceive as pressure. It's more so being prepared, being pre-sure, and prepping yourself for different circumstances based off of one's experiences and imagination, and how you see yourself being victorious and evolutionized in the growth of the unknown, and how to take your levels and skills to another level, so that when you do walk in that room with these same people, their respect for you, and it's not even about respect or their love, but their perspective of you have changed. So now the approach is different, and now you've tapped into a different realm of what your perception will now get to see, which will always keep you at a constant growth. So that was just my thing today, like being affiliated with yourself, and then also being affiliated with groups, and how you could create this synergetic perspective of how to be a multifaceted human being based off of the wealth of experiences and the wealth of relationships. Holla at your boy. It's the LAK show. Us TV. You already know. Jazz America. Late bloomers. Yeah. Music out now. Link in bio. Holla at me on all platforms. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I'm all there. Holla at your boy. Jazz.